Welcome back to another episode of the Betterment Podcast, Pursuit of Infinite Growth. And first things first, guys, I know it's been a couple months since we've done one of these. And when I mean we, I mean myself. Also, if you are in the camera or editing industry, aka some of my homies like Nate or Jacob, I could definitely use some advice. I just spent like an hour iterating, like moving the camera here, putting the microphone here. Anyway, it was actually fun. I mean, it's been a while since I've done one of these, but I forget how much detail I like to put into it, and I know there's a ton more I can do. So humbly, if you guys have advice and you're in that industry, or you're skilled in editing or video making, let me know and let's collab. I'll pay you. And but anyway, guys, I want to get right into it. I know it's been about probably like 2 months now since I finally did an episode, and a lot has happened in the last couple months. The big reason why I made this podcast, honestly, was to not, give any sort of advice as much as it is more for me to document my life. And if you guys can get some sort of value out of it or some lessons learned, then awesome. I want to be able to help other people if they're struggling or they're going through life situations too, and maybe learn from my mistakes so you don't have to make them, and maybe take some advice when I am successful so that you can speed up your process and whatever you're doing. With that also too, you can see I got these headphones, just go kind of crazy. I really want to, like, every episode, just iterations, right? Just try little things, see what happens. So as you can see, right, it's just a solo episode, obviously. I got headphones on because I can hear my reverb, so it sounds clear for me. Some people don't like the way their voice sounds. I actually enjoy mine. Call it what you want, but it's good for me to hear it so I can hear how I'm coming out on the podcast and how it sounds. But anyway, getting into the rabbit hole, let's jump back to the podcast itself. So been a couple months. Basically, I got lazy. Got to call myself out. I wasn't podcasting like I should, clearly, and so decided to do one tonight and just kind of roll with it and just start off June, because one of my goals this month is to do 4 podcasts. If I have to do them all by myself, I will. But I actually have some really awesome friends that took me up on joining me on the podcast, so they'll be on here. So anyway, catching you guys up to speed. It's been a couple months of some things changing with solar, work, and all that good stuff, and more importantly, life. So this episode, I'm really just wanting to chop it up about some kind of life lessons that I've been exposed to and have learned from, and some real stories to go with them. Because I think in the past I've used a lot of like books and quotes, and those are great, don't get me wrong, but nothing hits like a real story. Like, how is this impacting me? What kind of lessons have I learned or experienced that then those quotes can apply to? So with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoy this episode, and make sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and let's just get into it. So, couple things that have really been on my mind lately is instant gratification and the like detrimental effects it can have on well-being, kind of like poor habits that it can build, and most importantly, how it can just like really wrongly change your trajectory over time. And so the big one I've been thinking about a lot, and this kind of came to me today, I wrote it down in my notes app, and I'll explain how this ties into a real story, is instant gratification will always stall your long-term growth. It shows you where you lack major discipline and seek to find quick feedback loops to get your mind onto something else. So basically what I mean by that, instant gratification will always stall your long-term growth, is anything worth having is going to take a long time, and anything that can come quick probably isn't worth having. I mean, think about, anything that brings you quick happiness, whether that's alcohol, gambling, porn, sex, swiping on dating apps if you're single. These are all very like quick response dopamine rushes. And where I've seen this, where I have to call myself out, where I've noticed myself fall short a couple times, especially in work, is anytime I close a deal or get a bill or basically do anything that is like creating a lead or closing a deal or installing, I always catch myself like either leaving Hood early right after it happens, or stopping what I'm doing to plug in the lead, or going and buying some shit I don't need because I have this, I want a quick dopamine rush, right? I want everyone, well, if it's calling a lead out, I want everyone to be like, good job, Nick. I'll be honest. I want the praise. If it's getting install, I want to spend the money. Now, what I've noticed in myself is that the person that outworks me is the person that decides to be like, cool, I'll, buy that thing that I want in a couple weeks. I'm not going to buy it today because I have $10,000, dollars to just hit the bank. Or I'm not going to call out this deal that I just closed because I have another one I need to get to, and I need to be focused on what the customer's questions and concerns are going to be. And I don't need to spend 10 minutes posting on all these G chats that I closed the deal. Or if it's getting a bill, right? Getting a power bill, creating a lead for people that don't understand solar, getting someone's account information, stopping everything I'm doing and going back to my car to plug it in. Like all of these things in the moment, they feel really good. They do. That's why I do them. But I thought about it today, really, in the last couple of weeks. It's not benefiting me. If anything, it's stunting my momentum. It's like going up 10 points in the fourth quarter of the football game and then just calling 3 timeouts and then punting the ball. It's like, why would you do that? But essentially that's what I'm doing when I go ahead and I fall short on these habits. And I actually really want to give a shout out to a buddy I'm working with now. His name's Caleb Kang Stud. I'll probably get him on this podcast pretty soon here. Caleb, if you watch this, brother, keep crushing it, dude. Anyway, how this intertwines with a real life story on top of the one I kind of just told, which I'll get into more detail, I guess, as I progress with the podcast. But he's this kid that, long story short, I'll have him tell a story so that I don't take it from him or take his credit or whatnot. But he's only been doing solar for 30 days, maybe 40. He's closed 15 deals, I think. He's absolutely tearing it up in the office. He's actually in a position to win the rally, which is this huge event that Sunrun reps all over the country compete for. And the kid works from freaking 9 to 9. He's out there 12 hours a day. And we were talking about it in the meeting today, and it made me think what he has is something that I remember having when I first started, which is just drive, hunger. He wants to be good. All he cares about is working his butt off. And it's actually really inspiring because I think somewhere along the way, if I'm being really transparent, I lost that edge. I lost that drive. Because you start making good money. I mean, I live in San Diego. I have my own place. My car's paid off. I don't have student debt. And you start to get really complacent. At least I was. And you're like, I don't need to work 10 hours a day. I don't need to knock 100 doors. I don't need to pitch, 10 people. I can coast, or I can do X amount because I know I can get by on that. And it's weird because getting by in the solar industry usually means making well over $100,000, which is awesome. But thinking about it today, because he closed 5 deals last week, he's just crushing. We were talking with some of the people in my squad, and it made me think, where did I lose that hunger? Where was it that I started to be you know what, I can take more days off. I don't have to work Saturdays. I can skip a week or two, or only give half effort for a week or two, and just do all the little things that compound effect I'm always talking about slowly taper me off. And a great example of that I would even say is when I came back, first month, started selling a bunch of deals. Second month, same thing. I think I'm in third month was okay, but then I went to Maui to start the month. My friends got married. Had a trip to go see my mom the next week for her birthday and see me, so I took the weekend off. Week after that, what did I do the week after that? I think the week after that I was here, but then just last week I went and watched my cousin graduate. We had a graduation party. And those aren't excuses. Those are things that you should, go to and celebrate. Life is short. I'm not just saying work only, but I started to use those as excuses to start not working as hard that week, kind of ramping down quicker than I should have, when I should have been ramping up more. And one of the things I want everyone that listens to this podcast to take away is that this podcast is, you're probably getting that vibe from today, what I'm about to say, but this podcast isn't just about all the things I'm doing right or how I'm crushing it in life or how everybody on here is crushing it in life. It's also about where I'm fucking up, where I'm coming up short, where I'm missing the mark. And I want to use this as a platform and as like a area to get across to people that, hey, if you're going through similar stuff, like learn from my mistakes, or implement different strategies, or reach out to people, even me. Like, I'm humble enough to take advice, and I'm just trying to become a better version of myself. And I really don't believe you can be the best version of yourself without humility, which is what I'm going to talk about next. But to wrap up this point on Caleb, it just reminds me that in any career that we're in, I feel that there's a lot of people that hit a ceiling. They go hard when they first get into it, whether they're trying to be a cop, a firefighter, a scientist, therapist. These are just people I'm thinking about in my head that I'm friends with. That, by the way, they're crushing it. But these are just jobs that came to my mind. Like any job that takes a lot of work and discipline, right? And I feel like there comes a point where you hit a plateau or a wall where you realize how you can operate well on the job without doing well, or without giving it your actual maximum effort. And it was just a good reset. It kind of like reality checked me, and I'm like, hey, first of all, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. Someone is always out there working harder than you and can be kicking your butt at any given time. I mean, Caleb's been doing it for like 30 days and he's crushing people, including me. They've been doing this job for like 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And the other lesson I learned within that is that it doesn't matter what you did last year. It doesn't matter how much money you made, all the accolades you have, all the successes, all the real estate you bought, all the investments you made, whatever the thing is, all the girls you dated, whatever. All that matters is today and what you're doing in the future. And, you don't want to be like that. I always think about like the small town, high school football heroes that like all they do is sit around at the bar all day and drink and talk about the good old days when they played high school football. And it was like, yeah, at the time that might have been, accomplishment or something to be proud of, but now you're 7 years old sitting at the bar talking about what you did when you were 18. Like, do you have nothing else in your life to show for? And that's just an analogy. It's just a story that I always think about because I don't want to be that guy at the bar talking about when I was 22, how solar was the best thing I ever did with my life, or how I was the best at solar when I was only 1 year in. It's like, well, what'd you do the other 3 to 5 or 10 years, however long I do this career? So it puts things in perspective. Now, to transition to the humility part, I was thinking about this because Grant was talking about it in our meeting today, about like having the humility to ask for help, whether that's someone above you, which is easy, or someone below you, but someone below you that's doing well. And one of the things that I thought about is the fastest way to grow is through humility, right? Embrace that you don't know everything, and you'll actually be able to learn quite a bit more than what you are now. It's kind of like the law of the lid. If you believe you can only do 3 deals a week, or if you believe you can only lose 10 pounds a year, or if you believe you can only make $100,000 a year, whatever the thing is, you're setting a self-limiting belief that you will never surpass. And there's a lot of truth to fruition and speaking things into existence, and your self-beliefs really dictate your reality. So having humility to be like, fuck, I've been making $100,000 for multiple years. How do I make 2? How do I make 3? How do I make $500,000, right? That takes a level of humility to be like, I don't know it all, right? And it's weird, but when you do that, people are so much more likely to help you if you ask for help. People, I think, at least me in the past, I've always had this mindset of like, I'll just figure it out, lone wolf mentality. I don't have anybody, blah, 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 whatever the bullshit story you want to tell yourself. And it can be good. It can motivate you, can fire you up. But over the course of time, you have to really understand that, like, you think Jeff Bezos got there all by himself? You think, take any major, Elon Musk, polarizing figure, Donald Trump, oh God, there's so many, Oprah, Ellen, freaking whatever, just huge people in the news that you hear about all the time. Whether you like them or don't, who gives a shit? They got there because they used multiple people, and they were able to work with multiple people, and they asked multiple people questions, and they surrounded themselves with people that were better than they were, and that's how they were able to grow. So I think about that a lot. It's like you have to swallow the cup of humility, or whatever they call it, the humble syrup or whatever, in order to grow. And I thought about that in my own career. I'm like, well, where should I be asking for help? Is it the pitch? Like, that's such a basic thing that I think veteran reps don't talk about, but the pitch is the most important part. It's how you get in the door. It's how you create a lead, right? And I thought about, like, is it the pitch? Is it the hours I'm working? Am I just not working hard enough? Because I honestly know I should be working harder. Some things are, tangible, some are not. But it starts with at least asking the question, like, how can I be better? What areas am I not good at? And just have an honest conversation with yourself. And then when you come to whatever realization you come to, then start asking for help, start reaching out, whether it's people directly, which I think is probably the best, whether it's reading books, going to seminars, praying, meditating, whatever it is. But you can't get through this life and live the life you really want by yourself. It's impossible. We're all interconnected in some way, shape, and form, whatever you believe. I really believe that. And you need people, and people need you. And so it's like exchange of energy. That's how I look at money too, which is a whole different conversation. My very, young and uneducated beliefs on money, because I'm still only 26, is the way I look at it as a transfer of energy, which is a whole nother conversation. But I don't just look at it as like a monetary, achievement, but what can this thing get me? How many doors can I get in with this? But yeah, humility, big thing. And on that, I think within humility, this is something else I was thinking about, is patience and time do more than consistency and rage. That was something I actually read in a Forbes article. And what I think about when I think about that is patience and time do more than consistency and rage. I think about in my life with college. Honestly, I've talked about it in the past, but I was a spaz. I was angry. I didn't know what I was doing, right? And if you consistently do the wrong thing over time, you're going to go run the wrong way, and you're going to go in the opposite direction than if you were just patient and kind of sit and do the right things, but in a consistent pattern. So, or I shouldn't say consistent because it kind of defeats purpose. But what it's talking about is patience and time, letting things play out, but at the same time, doing what you know is right will work way quicker and compound way faster than doing things with rage in an unclear head, right? You can't do anything in a flow state if your head is cloudy. But the other quote, I didn't mean to read that one, but that's a good one too, is I just finished reading a book by Gary Vee. It's called The 12 and a Half Steps. And it's a good book. It is. It's a very self-development-y book, if you guys know what I mean. But there was a couple good takeaways I got out of it. And one of them, it was a quote that it's really resonating with me. It says, it's not about the hours you put in, it's about what you put in the hours. And I was like, I kind of bomb dropped, because for the last year or so, I've really been focused on consistency over intensity, which is important, right? The guy that goes to the gym 10 minutes every day for a year will lose and be in way better shape than the guy that goes to the gym once a month for 10 hours. It's just, you can't argue with math, right? Compounding happens. But I think I started leaning so heavily into that it started to actually be a detriment to me. Like, I was like, well, I'll just go work every day, even if I only work for an hour. It's like, yeah, but you're missing the point. Like, don't work an hour every day. Like, the whole idea is on your worst days, work an hour, but on your better days, work 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, whatever it is, right? And it made me realize, like, okay, those days that I don't want to work, and the days that I haven't felt like working or going to the gym, like, I just recently started getting up early again. For me, early 7, whatever that is for you guys, do your thing. But I started getting up earlier, and I thought about it, and I'm like, man, like, going to the gym in the morning I'm tired. I don't want to be there. I mean, I know I work out. I take good care of myself with my health, but I actually don't love to work out. I just know that it's good for my mental, so I do it. But I thought about it, and I'm like, dude, if I just put in 45 minutes of a explosive workout, whether I'm sprinting on the treadmill or just doing a ton of reps with pull-ups and chest day and whatever the thing is, if I just have an explosive period, that's going to be so much more beneficial than me going to the gym for 2 hours, or me going to the gym for an hour and walking on the treadmill for 58 minutes. It's like, I think I'm starting to swing back more towards the have explosive bursts. Because for me, the way I'm wired is I like to do things in very explosive bits, right? I'm pretty sure I got ADHD, to be honest, but who knows. But I like to do things explosive bits, like get up, whatever. Watching YouTube videos, go to the gym, come home, eat. Like, I don't want to do the same monotonous thing for 8 hours at a time. Now, there are certain things that is required, such as working the hours, like I talked about Caleb earlier. Like, that will pay massive dividends. But the reason why I've really resonated with this quote recently is it's like, how many people do you know that say they worked all day, but they didn't actually work? Like, I honestly, and I've been this way too. You know, I'm out there for 8 hours, but then I spent 2 hours on my phone, spent an hour at lunch, I spent 45 minutes knocking doors of people that were clearly not qualified. I spent 2 hours getting my oil changed, but I'm like, yeah, 8 hour day. It's like, you didn't really work 8 hours. Versus if I was just honest with myself and had the humility to be like, look, honestly, I don't have the attention span to work 8 hours today. I got all this other stuff I have to do, but can I go hard for 2 hours? Not go through the motions. Can I go hard for 2 hours? Knock a shit ton of doors. Only talk to people with garage door opens. Push through the pitch. Try and get into multiple homes. Can I do that for 2 hours? I'd probably feel a lot more proud of myself for doing that than working 8 hours but ineffectively. So there's very much this yin and yang that obviously I'm still young. I'm trying to figure it out myself. But I'm trying to figure out like where they're kind of where you cross the level of consistency and effectiveness. Because obviously the most successful people in the world have them dialed down. They know how to do things consistently and effectively. And yes, there are those people that work 18-hour days, so they're consistent and they're effective. But not everyone's trying to do that. So what I'm trying to figure out in my life is how can I be as effective as possible and still be consistent? Because to be honest, I think I've gotten pretty soft recently being like, oh, I'll just be consistent. I'll just go to the gym 6 days a week, 5 days a week. But I'm giving it like 60%. So it's like, yeah, you're maintaining, but you're not growing. And the reality, as Tony Robbins says, is if you're not growing, you're dying. So I'm like, shit, I do need to be more explosive. Now, the trade-off to that is kind of like a reliever, at least for me, is I'm like, okay, well, cool. If it's not about how many hours I put in, but what I put in those hours, I get excited. I'm like, okay, well, I can go hard for 30 minutes. Like, I can go pitch my ass off for an hour. Like, I can go slam doors hard for an hour before I take a break. Like, whatever. I can go sprint at the gym for 30 minutes. Like, for me, it becomes easier to bite off the carrot than if I'm like, damn, I got to do 8 hours on the doors, or damn, I got to go run 10 miles. So there's these little hacks that you can play with yourself that allow you to get the most out of the moment that you're in and being present as possible. And so kind of ties into it, but the other thing that I would say with that quote is, in order to master discipline, you have to have patience. Like, you literally cannot be disciplined without being patient. And tying back to the point before, I'm a very sporadic person, and so I'm constantly battling between like, how do I be more patient and disciplined, but at the same time, I really am a person that is in his best flow state when I'm impromptu, act in the moment, just do the things. But I think about someone like Grant, my mentor, or I think about people that have been doing any sort of career for a long period of time, and I'm like, Rome wasn't built over a day. It also wasn't torn down over a day either. And it's made me really think like, discipline equals freedom. And in order to have freedom, you have to have discipline. But in order to have discipline, you have to do things even when you don't feel like doing it. And in order to do things even when you don't feel like doing it, you have to have patience to know that the thing that you don't feel like doing will pay dividends in the long run. And that's something that I've really been trying to implement the last couple months, especially because, to catch you guys up to speed, had like 4 installs going this quarter. Momentum starting to like catch back up, or was catching back up. And then right when you think you should keep the foot on the gas, I got complacent, started getting some checks and just being a little lazy bitch. And I was like, nah, I can take some more time off. I can do this. I can go to Maui for 4 days when I was supposed to go for 3, and then end up being 5 because I stayed an extra day. And then, like these stupid little fucking things you do to yourself. And it frustrates me, but I'm being vulnerable enough to call myself out about it. So like today, we had the meeting. As soon as the meeting was done, I came home, ate a really healthy lunch, and I was like, I'm on doors by 2:30 no matter what. So I got there early, was on doors about 2:15, and then worked till about 7, and then came home and podcasted. Because one of my goals this month is to podcast 4 times. So the kind of final thought I'll wrap with is, when it comes to goal setting, I think this is like a good lesson that you guys can take from it that has been helping me, which is I think right now, when I wrote out my 2025 goals, I have about 16 or 20, and I break them down into 4 sections: fitness, finance, self-development, and career. They're great. You know, it took me a lot of time and effort, and I love writing my goals, and that's awesome. You got to start somewhere, but to actually execute those goals is a whole nother thing. And it's something that I always fall victim to myself, or prey to, whatever the word is, which is that I give myself a shit ton of goals to do every month, and then I hit like 30 to 40% of them, and then I feel like shit. I'm like, damn, like I only hit 30% of my goals this month. Are you kidding me? And so this month, and I think it's because I have too many goals I'm aiming for. Like there's only so many hours in a day, right? Plus I have a girlfriend. I have to go to Orange County half the time. I got a dog. Family's only a couple hours away. So anyway, life's going to be life. Meetings to go to, work things. You have to find time to get those goals done. But you can't spread them. You can't spread yourself so thin, because what's going to happen, what's happened to me for years, is that cool. At least I'm setting goals, at least I'm hitting them. Yeah. That's great for the pep talk guy. But the reality is I'm spreading my energy too thin. Right? If I have 16 goals I have to get done, on top of balance a relationship and long distance, take care of my dog, be it, help run meetings, hang out with friends, go to bed on time, pay bills, like just start simple. Less is more. Less is more. Trust me. Just fucking trust me on this, dude. It's less is more. So this month I was like, whoop, okay. I'm tired of doing 16 goals a month or whatever, 12 to 16 goals a month. Let's just do 4. 1 in each category. That's it. Way simpler. The only goal I have for self-development this month is 4 podcasts. Not read 2 books and go to church 4 times and shadow 3 veteran reps. These are all things that I had months prior. They are important. But the only thing I care about in the self-development column for this month is drop 4 podcasts. That's it. So that's why. Did the doors. I'm like, cool. Self-development. It's not reading books. It's not shadowing reps that are the veterans are doing better. It's literally go home and do a freaking podcast. I told myself I'd do a podcast today. We're doing it. I'm going to feel so good tomorrow when I already have 1 podcast done, and it's the 4th of June or whatever day I release this. And obviously this month I'll give you feedback. I'll let you know how it turned out. Did it work? Did it not? But I am very confident that it probably will, even with all the things that are already planned this month that I have going on that are like extracurricular activities. And it's because I'm just trying to narrow my focus, right? And just so you guys know, I'll come out here and I'll tell you exactly what the 4 goals are. Goal number 1 is in the fitness section. The only goal I have for fitness this month is go to the gym 25 times. Okay? That's it. It's not lose X amount of weight. It's not have X amount of body fat. It's not have a new personal bench press record. It's literally go to the gym 25 times. There's 30 days in May. 30 days in June. So that's, I don't know the math. It's like somewhere around 85% of the time, somewhere in the 80 percentile, I'm going to be at the gym. Okay, I'm averaging between 22 to 24 a month. So I'm like, let's just up it one day, right? This is where the consistency starts to really take place. In the second profile, or in the second category, I have finance. I've been really getting into investing. Great book I read. I'm going to self-plug, even though he'll never see it yet. One day I'll meet him. Tony Robbins. Finished reading this monster of a book. It's like 650 pages called Money Master the Game. It is the number 1 selling financial book since the 20th century. He basically interviews like the top 50 investors in the world at the time. The book was written about 10 years ago, including Ray Dalio, I'm reading this homie's book next, Principles, pretty fire book so far as well. Who's like the largest hedge fund manager in the world, or at least in the US. Anyway, I read this book. It made me realize that, holy shit, I make a lot of money, but I don't save a lot of money and I don't invest any money. So what am I doing if I'm not putting my money to work for me, And so my investing for Robinhood is to get it to about $5,000 this by the end of this month. So I have $5,000 just in investments. Stock market's going to go up and down. Quick rule of thumb on this book: it doesn't matter what the freaking stock market does. You just got to go ahead and not pull out for a very, very, very long time, because the longer it sits in there, the more likely it is to compound. But also, really important is this: if you pull it, especially a year early, you get put into a higher tax bracket. So I'm not your CPA here, but it's true. You'll pay more taxes on it if you let it sit for a year. So unless you're a day trader, do your thing. But if you're not day trading, which 99% of the world isn't, if you invest in a stock, plan to hold it for over a year minimum. And the other thing that I learned is that just by investing in low-cost index funds such as the S&P 500, you can be like between 90 to 95% of all financial advisors out there. That's another true statistic that Tony Robbins found himself. Insane, I know. But just putting your money into very low-cost passive management index funds, you'll make more money than if you were to pay someone and then they take fees from you and all this other BS. So anyway, cool couple takeaways on that. Anyone that's read the book, let me know what your thoughts are on it, or if you recommend something similar. Okay, in the third bucket, I have self-development. We talked about that for podcasts. And then in the fourth bucket, which is work, I have just closed 7 deals. That's it. Those are my four things. Close 7 deals, invest $5,000 into, or have $5,000 invested into Robinhood, drop 4 podcasts, go to the gym 25 times. That is it. Anything that comes outside of that, if I can make time for it, I will. But it's mandatory that I go to the gym every day, that I invest money every day, that I work every day, besides Sundays, because I'm going to give myself Sundays off. You should have a reset day, but that's a whole nother topic. What was the last one? Oh, and then drop a podcast every week. That's the goal. So one podcast a week minimum. And yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at in life. These are kind of the thoughts that are going on in my mind. So just to wrap up, kind of to recap the whole podcast, having humility is actually the best way to grow. I mean, there's so many people that, think about like Aaron Rodgers. He rode the bench for like 3 years with Brett Favre before he got his start, and he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Same thing with Tom Brady, right? He was almost one of the last picks, and he went from 6th string quarterback to the greatest NFL player of all time. Yeah, I'm a Patriots fan. Fight me in the comments section, but he is literally the GOAT. If anyone disagrees, someone spiked your drink, because that's cap. So having humility and being able to ask for help. And patience is a game that you play within discipline that will reward you in the long run. And less is more. Just zoom down the goals. If you have 50 things you want to do, that's awesome. But diversification can sometimes be like the death of all of your goals, because if you spread yourself too thin, you're not going to have anything left over. You're not going to have anything left for the things that you want to do. And I was catching myself in that loophole month after month after month after month. I kept doing, I'll do 16 things, I'll do 20 things, I'll do 40 things. It's like, yes, you need to dream big, right? That's what this podcast is about. Dreaming big, but more importantly than just dreaming, becoming big, acting as the person you want to become, self-developing into someone that you can be proud of, that your family can be proud of, that your spouse can be proud of. And being vulnerable enough to say where you're screwing up, having humility. But with that being said, you also need to start realistic. And whatever that is for you, start there. Once you build the momentum, then you can start to expand your goals. If you start realizing that you do 4 goals and you get them all done, and maybe you get them all done in 3 weeks, damn, then maybe next month you go to 6 goals or 8 goals, right? You want to go ahead and start expanding, right? But in a amount that is keeping up with your trajectory of your like success pace. You don't want to be doing 16 goals a month or 20 goals a month and then hitting 30% of them like my ass was, because then you start feeling, one, it actually affects your self-esteem that you're like, damn, I don't actually accomplish most of the things I set out for. And two, how much more could you have gotten done if you had taken those 16 goals and turned them into 4 goals? Maybe I would have got them all done. Who knows? Who cares? That's the past. You don't dwell in the past, but you learn from the past so that you can take it, create a better future. Yeah, that's kind of fresh. That sounded good. That was off the cuff. Anyway, guys, with that being said, I want to go ahead and thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Betterment Podcast, The Pursuit of Infinite Growth. I think we're on episode 12 now, which is awesome. So we're getting this thing going. Every single episode, I'm hoping, I'm going to try and make little tweaks. So like this episode, I wore headphones so I could hear the reverb to see if I sound cleaner when I talk and I don't stutter or spit as much, which I do. And the microphone here. So anyway, there's these little things that I've been trying to adjust to give you as the audience a better feel if you're watching it and if you're listening to it. I want to make sure that it sounds as clear as possible. Definitely going to be upgrading equipment in the next few install checks. And just making it more professional, and not just the professional aspect, making it more Nick. Like I want to really like take this thing to where it becomes its own thing, And there's a lot of podcasts that have inspired me. Check out Modern Wisdom if you haven't watched it. Great podcast, as well as Diary of the CEO of a CEO. Those are 2 really awesome podcasts I listen all the time to and watch on YouTube. So anyway, with that, guys, go crush the week. Have a great day. And yeah, if there's any thoughts or takeaways that you guys got from this, go ahead and drop them in the comments section. Subscribe, like, and Channel 5 News Stew. We're going to shoot it off to you back in the studio. Take care.